Twist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How's it going, Steve?
Doing well, Tim. How about you?
Yeah, not bad.
Another crazy weekend?
Yeah, every weekend's crazy in my place. Not crazy like fun, crazy.
Just lots of stuff going on.
Yeah. So we had Adeline's birthday party on Saturday. 3 years old. It's like goes so fast. It's sad. It's sad. I don't know. Yeah, I hate it. I don't like it. But it was great. And I did father-daughter dance on Friday night with Lydia. And
How was that?
that was fun. Here I have pictures. So here's a picture of me and Lydia. And Adeline, I was holding Adeline. She was making a funny face. It was kind of funny. And then actually Saturday night, there was this picture of Emilio. Sadie had a dance. So there's a lot of dances going on this weekend. And somewhere here, like I said, I have a lot of memes today. But somewhere in the mix, somewhere here, well, I'll find it and I'll put it on the show. But her birthday cake with dinosaur theme. She loves dinosaurs, so Andrew made cupcakes and like these little dinosaur things around it, and then Walmart made a dinosaur cake, so it was good. Yeah, it was a good weekend. I mean, then yesterday was our actual birthday, and 3 years old. It's crazy, but now she's sick. I don't know, like cough, fever. She's like puking, but just because she's like phlegm. So I don't know. It seems like she keeps getting stuff. Like the first 2 years of her life, she didn't really get sick at all. And then this last year, I feel like every month probably she gets something. I don't understand. I hate when my kids are sick, especially my younger kids. Like, you feel bad. She slept with us last night because I'm like, no, it's too far to go. If she starts coughing and like if she's got a fever, like you'll know. And yeah.
Yeah, I kind of remember those days.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, you never know. You know what I'm saying?
And by the time they're 17, you're like, all right, here's some medicine. Go up to your room. See you later.
Shit. Once they're 10 years old, it's like, yeah, all right, suck it up. Like,
No, I know.
it's so funny,
I'm
though.
making a joke in case Zeta watches this, because when she was 17, my friends came and stayed at my brother's house. And so she and I both were sick. It was right before COVID. We both had strep and flu. And it was like March of whenever COVID came out, 2020 or 2019, whenever it was, 2020?
2020.
And it was right before the lockdowns and everything. But we both had flu and strep. And I went there. Nikki went to my brother's house, and we left Zeta here for 4 days by herself with strep and flu. So she was not happy. She probably kind of was, just because she didn't have me and Nikki, but also it's nice when your mom or dad brings you some soup, 7-Up.
We're matching today.
Yep.
Happy, you know the thing. It's President's Day too. I decided that we can celebrate that once we actually get one.
Well, we're supposed to be celebrating
The previous ones.
Lincoln and Washington, right?
Yeah, technically Washington's birthday. Yeah.
But originally, I think it was set up to celebrate those two.
Was it?
That might be all of them. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
They change things,
Yeah.
constantly. Change this, changes.
If you don't commit something to memory anymore, you're going to have a dictionary, like you say all the time, and encyclopedias from the past.
Yeah, because everything changes and they change things. And
So it was first established in 1879 to celebrate Washington.
Yeah.
Where did I get Lincoln from?
No.
That's interesting.
It is.
So I was sold a bill of goods that was false.
Well, just like Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, celebrate. Now it's what, civil rights? It depends where you are. Some places it's still Martin Luther King's birthday or Martin Luther King Day, right? And now it's Civil Rights Day, which, I mean, they're both good, but you just don't, like Martin Luther King, you're celebrating Martin Luther King for what he did, which was arguably the greatest thing, right? I mean, I don't know. So we want to add more people in, so we're just like, we'll make it Civil Rights Day, just like President's Day, like we celebrate Washington. Now it's like, wow, we got to make it more, you know. It's kind of like Columbus Day is now Indigenous Peoples Day in most places.
So it's actually Washington's birthday.
Right, which isn't.
And then there was a committee in the 50s that tried to make it about all presidents and everything else.
That's where it all went to shit in the 50s.
Well, yeah.
Close. Late 40s.
After World War II.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Hitler and.
You got to have a committee for a committee to form a committee to talk about a committee. That's bureaucracy normally. And now it's like, we just need to tax you as much as we possibly can. And then we'll give it to everybody but our own citizens.
Yeah. Yeah. We can get in that in a few minutes.
Oh, it just kind of as a natural segue into the BS that exists around us day in and day out.
Yeah, every single day. It's crazy.
If you pay attention to it, you know what I mean? Like, you got to take a break from it.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing about doing the show is
You don't really get a break from
when
it.
you're constantly in it. So it can affect you too because we look for stories. Well, we don't
Yeah,
we don't look. We
see stories,
see
and then we try
stories.
to get to
Yeah,
the bottom
and then
of those.
we look for other information that's not there, like whatever, or we put two and two together, and then we so it's not
Yeah.
because you don't have to look far for anything. It's
No.
it's as far as that goes, it's probably the easiest time period ever to grow up in or to live in rather, because finding stuff to talk about like on the show or other people doing shows, it's got to be the easiest thing in the world because it's so much. It's nuts. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I had texted you last night, but I was cleaning up the basement a little bit, and I had my trunk from college. I had given it to Zeta this past fall to take to college with her. So all of my stuff was just like sitting on the shelf there in the basement. By shelf, I mean floor. And so I was going through it all to actually get it up on a shelf and determine what I'd want to keep and what needed to be tossed out. You know, there's like old bills from the 90s. So anyway, I was going through that, picking out that stuff, and I found a whole bunch of my physics and American politics work. So I was very impressed with the physics problems that I was able to actually get right. As I read through them, I was like, oh my God, I got that right. So it's amazing how much you forget in,
It is.
30 years, not even quite 30 years, but 27 years. And then also how different the worldview is. Like, I found 4 articles on celebrating the 50th anniversary of the United Nations, and it was right after the fall of the Soviet Union. So I was hoping there would be some mention in those articles about the fall of the Soviet Union and how the Baltic states are getting, but it doesn't. It just talks about the UN and how, and actually some of the articles are arguing for maintaining sovereignty and the UN trying to push people with some of their resolutions to encroaches on their sovereignty. And it's the same thing that we talk about today is all of these organizations encroaching on our sovereignty. We're the United States of America. That's it.
Yeah, they want one.
The UN doesn't control us. NATO doesn't control us. They shouldn't. Treaties that are signed by the president don't supersede our Constitution, those kinds of things. And so you have some to where, it's like 2 and 2, the articles, like kind of for and against the encroachment of sovereignty. Like, that's not how it's really written, but that's the subtext to it.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I just don't even. And I think about it, it's like So obviously we're a NATO country, the number one supporter of NATO, and then you look at Ukraine, and if it wasn't for the United States, not a damn thing would get done, because it's like none of these countries have the balls to do anything. Like, oh, we don't know. And granted, Ukraine's not a NATO country to start with, so, but I mean, we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, no, our sovereignty, like, we are the United States.
Well,
Yeah,
our sovereignty is under attack every day with the open, porous borders and
Yeah.
our money not supporting our own citizens.
Yeah.
You could probably argue that our sovereignty is threatened by our own government at
Easily.
this point.
Easily. Yeah. There's a couple local things before we get into the like more national stuff, but one sad thing I saw, and I was like, I didn't know that this person was sick or anything, but it is with deep sadness that the Unity Fire Department announces the passing of Fire Chief Todd Gregory. Todd began his firefighting career with the Leominster Fire Department in 1992. He joined the Unity Fire Department in 96. Todd served in many positions with the department over the years, including his latest role as the fire chief, deputy forest fire warden, and town Unity emergency management director. Todd is a dedicated man, as well as being dedicated to serving his community. He will be surely missed by all. And calling hours are this Friday from 5 to 8 at Stringer Funeral Home in Claremont. And service will be Saturday at 11 at Stringer Funeral Home, and be a reception will follow at the Unity Fire Department. I didn't know Todd like super well, but I remember Todd very well through when I was in the fire department. So sad thing for sure. Condolences to his family and to the fire service, Unity and surrounding, because that's the one thing with the fire department I learned was, yeah, okay, maybe you're on Newport, you're on Croydon, but at the end of the day, there's a bigger call, a house fire. It's like everyone works together and works well together. And so, yeah, I didn't know he was sick. I guess he died of brain cancer. And he was young, too. He was, I'm not sure, but he wasn't.
Probably close to my age.
Yeah, I don't.
If he joined the fire department in '96, so
he wasn't. I don't think he was 50 yet.
Yeah, probably either. Yeah, I was going to say 50 or just under.
Yeah. So.
Speculate, but anyway, that's sad news.
It is sad news. Yeah, keep that in mind. I mean, if you're not doing anything on, and you want to send flowers or you want to, whatever, do something, send a card, thank your firefighters and for all their service. And yeah, no, I saw that and I was caught off guard by it. I was like, oh, I didn't know anything about it. And it's too bad because I do remember he was a good guy. So, well, condolences to his family. Selectmen meeting tonight, 6:30. That should be interesting. I've considered going, but I probably won't. I'll probably just watch it. But so it's the regular meeting, and then I think there's a little bit of budget stuff going on. But yeah, we'll see. And school board Thursday at 5. Our meetings are already staggered, but I guess not this month.
Like the last few months, it seems like they've been
same. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what the. I know like they've had meetings like once a week pretty much because of the budget, which is kind of similar to what we did back in like November though. But yeah, it's that lovely time of year for everybody where it's budget season, so everyone goes through their budgets and then presents, and then the select board accepts a budget, and then obviously put through the taxpayers for April's town meeting. Don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's on the budgets or anything. Obviously, at this point, it's still kind of young, or soon. But yeah, I know. I think Barry and Herb are up for re-election this year. I actually saw Barry yesterday at Shaw's, and I just like talking to Barry. Of course, I went to the store and I ordered pizza, like just before I went in. He's like, 20 minutes. So I go in, I see Tommy Windler, who owns 24/7 Towing, and usually when I start talking to him, it can go a while, And so I was talking to him, I was like, all right, and I break off from him, and then I see Barry, and then I'm talking to Barry for like a good 5 minutes, and then I was getting close to leaving, and I see another friend of mine. I'm like, dang, I gotta get out of the store. So I ordered it at like 10:45. I picked it up at like 11:25 or something like that. And yeah, like Lydia was with me, and she's like, we get home, couldn't get out of the store because he kept seeing all these people he knows.
What'd you get? Village?
No, Plaza, because Village is closed on Sundays. So Adelina said she wanted pizza, and I'm like, well, I can't. Well, I could, but I don't want to make pizza for dinner. So I just got pizza for lunch, and then I bought a pork loin and then cut it into thin pieces for like boneless pork chops, and marinated them and cooked those, and did baked potatoes, and then Andrea made some rice and like peppers and onions, and it was really good. Yeah, I smoke them before, like smoked pork loin, and it's good, but in the past I would smoke them pretty much till it was done, or until it was done, I guess. Then cut it, and then put it on the grill. So you get grill marks and that more of a flavor. This one I just cut and put it, because the grill is such a difference, right? Like you couldn't cook you could, but you wouldn't cook a brisket on the grill because it would just never be like brisket from a smoker. But sometimes things on the grill are better, I think, than like if I'd smoked it. I don't think it would have had the same. I mean, I guess I could have like reverse seared it or seared it almost, like turn the smoke way up. But came out good though.
I had some Plaza last week.
Did you?
I had a medium, actually a large, but pepperoni calzone.
Nice.
Very good.
So I've never been a huge fan of the pizza because it's really greasy and whatever. But then I don't know where I was. I had a all meat from there, and ever since then, I really like I like that all meat pizza. And then he has really good mozzarella sticks. Those are really good there. Yeah, so we went there. And of course, I get home, and Adelina, she did finally, I think, have a piece of pizza, but I got her like popsicles and other stuff. And of course, she wasn't feeling well anyway, so it was pretty much whatever you want to eat, just eat. But I was like, have pizza because you want pizza. And yeah, but yeah, that was my weekend. I don't know. Did you do anything? I know you came over on Saturday for the birthday party. Did you do anything exciting this weekend?
No.
I see you have a bunch of seeds out on the table down there.
Just organized them,
It's getting close to
been
time.
watching some videos, reading up on, just trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to, I think I'm going to change the layout up.
Yeah, I think you should do.
I'm going to do more potatoes. I'm going to do another row. So last year I did 2 rows of potatoes. This year I'm going to do 3. I think I'll do red, white, and blue. Or,
Yeah,
gold and white.
you should do a lot more peppers.
See, I've been watching, because I think peppers,
Bell peppers.
I need to start them sooner. And then I need to clip the first ones off. So last year, when they were still kind of small, I got bell peppers off all of them. But
Right.
then once those grew, then by the time the other ones, they didn't really have time to develop fully. And I don't know if it's a sunlight thing, a water, or nutrient, or I have a feeling it's because I just should have cut those small ones off, or just pulled the flowers off before they, like that first set of flowers when they were only like this tall, like from the top of the table. You know what I mean? Like the plants were only maybe a foot, not even.
Yeah.
So I probably should have clipped those bell peppers off,
Well, I do a lot
or
of
the flowers.
like onions too, because peppers and onions you can freeze easily, and they come out and they stay, and then they come out great. It's tough. Like tomatoes, like you said, you can them, but
Did you ever get any onions out of all those that you planted last year?
no. But that
So I
was the
bought
wet
seeds this
section.
year. Yeah, so I bought seeds, and I'm going to try to grow onion from seed to onion this year.
Of course, I plan on moving my garden from where it was to the other side, where it will be like way more sunlight. But
And the water will drain.
yes,
Down.
Yeah, but then I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen because like the loggers are still there and they're not even like probably half done. And I'm like, mud season's gonna come. They're gonna post the roads, so then nothing will happen here for at least a month. And it's got like a lot of logs sitting there now, like to go. And I'm like, is this gonna like be an all summer thing? Like I don't want it to be. I want you to just clear this and get out. Like, I mean, no offense or anything, but I expected it to be done sooner. But yeah, just because like it's gonna mess with my garden and stuff. Because I want to put the garden over on the other side there. And I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, whatever. But I didn't expect it.
Yeah. Well, I'll have a nice garden.
Nice. That's good.
I'll share.
I hope so.
I mean, I did last year.
I'm gonna have to make your garden bigger.
Well, you guys,
Stack.
y'all feed so many. I give you, like, you know what I mean? Like, 8 winter gourds, or squashes will last me
Hey, those
4 months. 8 will last you dinner tonight. You know what I mean? So, like, that's the difference is I do need more so that you can store it longer.
those weird looking little
The dumplings,
Yes, those that I thought were just like
decorative.
decorative. Those are actually probably one of the best things you made out of there because Andrew took and like stuffed them with like hamburger and stuff. But it was like butternut, maybe a couple other weird ones that you'd given us, and I had tried one of those, and then the butternut, which I love butternut. No matter what, butternut will probably always be my favorite. But that dumpling thing was really, really good, really good.
I'll plant some more of those.
Yeah,
I think I bought some. I found some not from the same supplier that I like last year. I got them from Michigan. This year I found some at Runnings in the non-GMO, allegedly organic seed section. So I got even more different types of winter squash to try out this year.
nice.
Some leeks. I'm trying to grow some leeks, some onion, broccoli. I got a couple different because the broccoli turned out well. One of them
Yeah.
bolted, like the brocatini or whatever. It bolted, so I never really got anything off of it. Like I left it.
Your Brussels sprouts came out awesome.
Brussels sprouts were awesome, so I got 2 different types of Brussels
Mine-
sprouts to try.
I think what I screwed up on mine is I should have cut the leaves off sooner because mine wasn't tall. I think that was it.
I think I should have cut my leaves off, and mine probably would have been. I'd have had bigger towards the top. I mean, mine
Right.
turned out great. I just left
Yeah.
them alone all year. They must have got the perfect amount of water, sunlight.
See, I think mine just didn't have enough time because I'm like, yeah, these things are like it's too
You need
cold
more
now.
sunlight. Like yours
Yeah.
is a sunlight and a drainage thing.
Yeah, so moving it and then, yeah, better sunlight over there for sure than the other side.
And it'll drain away from it instead of
Yeah, it was too wet. In that
where it was
water.
last year.
Yeah.
It kind of drains to the back end of it and kind of set there.
Right.
Yeah, you live and learn.
The joys of gardening. All right, ready to get into the fun stuff?
Let's get into it.
So, this is just, I saw this and it's really a pat on the back for me and you. For those that think we're conspiracy theorists and don't know crap about crap. National immunity provides at least as high, if not higher, protection against COVID as mRNA vaccine study reveals. So, remember when we're like, wait, we don't need to get a vaccine because if you get it and now you have immunity, right? Well, no, you need to keep getting boosters and you just keep sticking this in your body, right? And we'll tell you, when we've made enough money, when you can stop taking boosters. And now this study comes out and shocker, what most of these people said, and we're
Shocker, what we learned in 8th grade health is still true today.
yeah. So all those
Like,
times you got,
literally, that's what we learned in 8th or 10th grade health. Is it in middle school or high school?
so do you think
40 years ago, and I still remember that.
Do you think the apology will come from Zuckerberg and those guys on Facebook soon saying, sorry, we misinformationed you? And
No.
no? Huh. It's weird. I kind of thought we'd get something out of that,
No, the one thing that I've learned is that people don't apologize. Probably, I think part of it is because we're a litigious society. Everybody wants to sue, and by everybody I mean lawyers are looking to sue and make money where they can. In my opinion, so I don't know. I don't think that people acknowledge fault as much. Some of it is cockiness and don't want to admit that they're wrong, but other parts is it's very litigious.
Like, yeah, that's another downfall of our society where you can sue for anything, everything. Instead of, yeah, you fell on that ice, you didn't happen to see it, like, and then there's certain things like, I guess they had said like that lady originally where it all started, like the McDonald's cup that burnt herself, like legit burnt herself bad. Like,
Oh, yeah,
it was
I watched
superheated coffee. So it was like a legit thing. But
She had like 3rd-degree burns because
Yeah.
it was hotter than it should have been. or
Yes.
whatever.
Now that's reasonable, but you go to Dunkin' and take a sip of your coffee and burn your lip because it's hot. You're an idiot.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
You got to move
It's
slowly. You got to let
hot.
it cool off for a minute or two.
I mean, speaking of Dunkin' cups, a lot of times, like when me and my grandfather go on trips, right? So I go out down south or whatever. He drinks coffee, I don't. But so we'll go Dunkin'. I'll get him like a medium black coffee. So like coffee black, okay. Although it was hilarious because when we were down south, he would want black coffee and he'd like going to Cracker Barrel. We'd go there a lot, and we'd have like a black waitress, and he would not say, "I want black coffee." I'm like, "Why don't you say?" Because he's like, "I can't say that." I'm like, "Dude, just tell you want your coffee black." He wouldn't. He was all like worried. I'm like,
But see, that's the state of affairs. That
Yes!
just shows you how crazy the world has become. That you can't use an adjective to describe your coffee.
right. It's crazy, isn't it? But anyways, so we get coffee in Newport, and in the time we got just into Mass, he probably could drink it, which is an hour or close. It's crazy how the styrofoam cups keep that freaking stuff so warm.
Yeah.
My grandfather's like, I don't know how they get it so freaking warm. It's like you make coffee at home, you put it in one of those cups, and as soon as you get the Newport, it's cold. Like,
Well, I put a lot of cream and sugar in mine, so mine's already about lukewarm by the time I'm done mixing it.
I know, like usually if I drink, I've had black coffee before, but it's like you're not drinking coffee, you're drinking cream and sugar, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's how Dunkin' makes their money. It's cream and sugar. It's not actually coffee. Like the amount of actual coffee they friggin' sell is probably low compared to the cream and sugar portion or the caramel.
Do they charge
or
you
all
for that? Oh, yeah. Well, that they charge you.
Yeah.
Caramel pumps
Yeah.
and.
Yeah, the cream and sugar I don't think, but you like add caramel or add mocha or whatever. Like Andrew gets, was it caramel swirl iced coffee, extra ice, so cups full ice.
So she gets basically was it a melted shake or malt?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm like, you pay for this. And she usually gets a large only because she fills it with ice. So she's probably getting a small by the time it's done, but she's paying for a large. I'm like, man, they love you here. This is why they love you so much here, because you like take half of what you should and pay for,
Hey, when I was younger, I'd be like, I had no ice.
yeah. I get that. Like
Like in my Cokes or whatever.
nah, see, I have to have real cold drinks.
Well,
Right?
see, McDonald's, their secret is I think they keep it all cold, so you don't have to have ice at McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's part of their secret of.
Supposedly that Coke comes in, there's something with, it's not in the boxes of the syrup or whatever. Supposedly theirs are in like metal containers, and they're the only place that does it. That's why it tastes different, which I love McDonald's Coke. Like,
Yeah, it's bad for us.
of course it's bad for us. Everything's bad for us. So over the weekend, now this could be just straight coincidence, right? Because now you're more looking for it but Tucson, Arizona was given a shelter-in-place order after a truck containing nitric acid overturned on I-10. So it's like, I'm sure it happens every day. Oh, obviously tractor trailers crash
Yeah, it used to
every
happen
day.
in Houston quite a bit.
But-
because there's a lot of refineries and
Yeah. But
traffic is ridiculous with, what was it, millions of people? Because in Houston, there's not much public transportation. Everybody has their own car. There's not much carpooling.
Right.
Back in the day, anyway, it was not a green city. I would submit that it still isn't.
I just saw that and I was like, that's interesting. It just goes with all the other things happening right now, which, like I said, this could just be,
Right.
it happens, but, and then also 18-inch pipe bomb discovered near a track behind a Philadelphia church. So, an 18-inch pipe bomb would do some serious damage too. That's a good-sized pipe bomb.
If it was, whatever, built to.
Yeah, I mean, if it was made of paper, it wouldn't do much, but even PVC, that would be pretty.
Did it say how they found it?
Let's see.
Hmm.
So, someone had some ill intentions. Yeah. So, Biden, so this is interesting and funny-ish. Biden says he's sending no federal aid to Palestine, and then Trump is going to visit, and he's going to send aid. So suddenly it's like,
Like within an hour, right?
Yeah,
Allegedly,
it's-
of Trump saying he was going to go visit. And the next thing you know, FEMA
yeah,
going out there.
Isn't it odd, So Trump's tweet airs Truth Social. Biden and FEMA said they are not going to send federal aid to East Palestine. As soon as I announce I'm going, he announces a team will go, and hopefully he will also go there. This is good news because we got them to move. The people of East Palestine need help. I'll see you on Wednesday. So Trump's going on Wednesday. So say what you want about Trump, but he's going to freaking Palestine, see what's going on, and he got numbnuts there, Biden, to do something. So, but isn't it sad? It takes an ex-president who's campaigning, to be run for president again. That's what it takes for the federal government to actually do something. If Trump's going to make me look bad, then I need to actually do something. If Trump isn't, then I don't need to do anything. So, the fact that you are an American citizen in a state and in a town in the United States has had this horrible disaster happen, that doesn't matter. What matters is Trump will come make me look bad, so now I've decided I'm going to help you.
So here's my thing. Like, I am all about limited government, et cetera, right? So if you're out there watching this and trying to find a flaw in my logic or belief system or whatever you want to call it, the railways go through state to state, so they're federal.
Right.
It's a federal issue. It's not just the state of Ohio's responsibility,
Right.
to take care of this, because the federal government controls the rails or is responsible for trade between states, and this is transportation between states, so they're responsible for that railway and for anything that happens on it, in my point of view. And so that's why I think the federal government owes that town something.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not changing all of a sudden to where I want like massive amounts of federal involvement, but in this case, it's one of those ones where it should be involved.
The whole purpose of the EPA.
Well, yeah, actually, the EPA, but I'm just talking about from a Department of Transportation perspective. It's their responsibility to maintain the rails,
Right.
or to ensure that they're maintained.
Well, the good news is,
So, if we don't want them to be responsible, I mean, you still got to have somebody overseeing it from state to state, right? So this is one of those instances where it makes sense for there to be federal oversight
right.
to
Well,
ensure the
so-
safety and the coordination between states, because this state might. I mean, most of y'all get it. I'm talking to the 3 people that may be watching this to find my flaws, which there's probably plenty. But if you don't regulate it, you could have this state develop a train with a 28-inch wheelbase versus a 32, and so then the tracks don't link up at the border.
Right.
I mean, that's like a basic, simple thing, right? But I'm pretty sure that actually happened back in the old days,
Maybe. Well,
right? They had different rail sizes, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Not sure. But the good news is, brings me to another meme.
I mean, that could be like from a movie that I saw. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Maybe. But to learn what's causing all these train derailments, Pete Buttigieg binge watches every episode of Thomas the Tank Engine. So he's going to figure it out, man. This other meme I saw, I love this one too. East Palestine, Ohio. Where's Greta? Where's that cranky Swedish girl, right?
I don't know. I don't know what. It's
Yeah, where's she at, man? Seen this one. Oops.
how dare you?
Exactly. See, No.
No, I do that like every show. Every time we talk about an environmental thing, I'm always like, how dare you? You don't hear me saying that over here? I bet the last 2 or 3 shows I can find a clip where I say that to you.
Probably.
And there I am inhaling through my nose right into the speaker. Or microphone.
So, then we didn't really, we kind of talked, we talked about it. You mentioned it. but then I don't know, maybe I saw some more on it or whatever. But so that this is said, why was the reporter arrested in East Palestine? News Nation coordinator Evan Lambert was arrested for trespassing on February 8th in East Palestine while attending DeWine's press conference about the train derailment. In a statement, East Palestine police said they asked Lambert to stop his live report because he was being loud, which resulted in an argument. Police said they arrested Lambert after he refused to leave the area. The broadcast reporter was held in custody for 5 hours before he was released, News Nation reports. DeWine said at the end of the press conference that he did not authorize the arrest. East Palestine police officers and officers with 2 state agencies were involved. According to the police department's release, Lambert, who is based in D.C., could still face charges of disorderly conduct and criminal trespassing. How the hell can you get in for criminal trespassing when you're having a news, conference, and then disorderly? The whole thing's a freaking laughing joke. But you were the one that's saying this is normal for that they would do.
That's what. So I read that portion that you just read, and then an article I read said that Governor DeWine was like, it's normal for them to. Somebody's always talking in the back. So that's why I was like, well, maybe because the adjutant was there and he didn't like the tone or the
right.
Because in the military, if we say, hey, keep it down, that means stop talking.
Right.
And so, with men, egos can easily get involved. Or with humans, I guess it doesn't have to just be men.
Yeah, no, just humans in general.
Yeah, I could see women also possibly being like, I'm not going to keep my voice down for you, guy in a pajama suit. You know what I mean?
There's this tweet too.
I mean, I would do that now. Like if we were at a press conference and there was some because number one, I'm ex-military, and so I think it would be funny to goad them into making a fool of themselves. So I would be loud, because if I knew I could do it and a precedent is set that I could do that press conference, I would look right at that 2-star general and get even louder. Because he's going to make the fool of himself. He's in the wrong here. He looks like an idiot. Like, it doesn't matter even if he's right. He's getting in that guy's face and pushing on him. So either way, he looks like an idiot.
Yeah.
But that's also the kind of guy I am, which is like, you're going to tell me what I can and can't do and you don't know what you're talking about? I'm definitely going to do it now. And I'm going to do it right in your face. So I don't know. I mean, I could see younger me doing that very easily. And even current me, like if I were told to keep it down and the precedent has been set that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, I would turn, oh man, I wish I could do it.
One of the things.
Can you get us some press passes?
Sure. Think about it. When was the last time you heard a reporter being arrested? It's not very often.
Julian Assange. Free Assange.
Yeah.
If freedom of the press means anything, everybody should be wanting Julian Assange freed for exposing the corruption that exists in our government. All you got to do is go read on WikiLeaks.
Thought that was illegal.
That's what they tried to say. That's what CNN tried to tell you, to scare you from looking at it. This is how ridiculously stupid the media is sometimes. If you read that, you could be committing a crime. If I read reports of the nefarious deeds that my government's up to, I'm committing a crime, or is the government committing the crime and they're just upset that I'm finding out about it? That's what you got to ask yourself the question.
Yeah. That's funny, though. People actually thought that.
I know.
Donald Trump Jr. tweeted out that Trump was going to visit East Palestine, Ohio next week. Obviously, I just said that, but he says if our leaders are too afraid to actually lead, real leaders will step up and fill the void. Maybe this is like the trick for the next 2 years. Is just Trump's going to have to go all these places, and that way Biden can follow him around like a little puppy and act presidential.
I
don't know.
They like to follow Trump around, allegedly, even when he was president.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's very interesting. I was actually looking, so I went to Marco Polo, checking that out.
Did you type in any keywords? And is that how you knew a little bit more about Hunter when we were talking pre-show?
Yeah, because I
read some of his emails, looked at some of those pictures?
Yeah, I went through
Disturbed now?
most. It's a lot. I can't even say I went through most because it was so much. But so one thing that's well, not one. One of the things that stood out was like this dude was spending like $8,000 on like escort/hookers or whatever you want. I don't know, for like 8 hours.
Dates for the night?
Dates for the night. $8,000, dude. $8,000. I seen some of the pictures of the girls, and they weren't bad.
I mean, there is so much that
What?
you could do with $8,000.
Yeah.
And that is not one of the things that I would do with $8,000. Man,
$8,000.
I could probably get some really good compost brought in to spread throughout my garden.
Dude, for $8,000, you could probably get compost brought in and
Redo the
group
whole
of
yard.
hot naked girls freaking breaking it out for you. Like this dude, and he was like constantly wiring money to all these girls. Like,
No, well, that's it's not just that, right? So, like,
No.
everybody's got demons of some kind or another. It's that he was doing that while providing allegedly access to his father through some of these business deals.
right?
10% for the big guy.
Yeah. No, I looked
Allegedly.
at it, like it was
Must
crazy.
say that for legal purposes.
Yeah. Like it went through. Like, you realize if this was Donald Trump Jr. or Eric or
Oh,
Obama,
man, they would have
they'd be
been
in
like
jail.
there would have been a show on Capitol Hill for months. They would have stretched it out to
Yeah.
make sure that every detail of that laptop was put into the record so that that family could no longer use that last name in this country. That's how I feel that they would go about it, because that's
They
what
would.
they did with
They're still
made up
after
stuff.
him.
Like, it's proven that it
Yeah.
was all made up by the intel agencies, and yet people still are out there believing that that's a lie. Like the intel agencies had nothing to do with it. That
Yeah.
Trump really was in cahoots with the Russians.
Right. Even though Clinton made the whole thing up. But she didn't get in trouble either.
McCain handed it off. It was a uniparty effort to keep him out, because I say it all the time. It goes back to the founding fathers when they would debate. Do you have an elite class that only they understand governance and how these systems work? Or can an everyman get elected to office? And right now, we're not letting too many everymen, and I say that not being sex specific.
Right.
Just, you know what I mean? Like, just your normal citizen, male, female, doesn't matter.
So,
I can't believe I got to qualify that in this day and age.
Yeah.
An everyman.
you don't have to, but. So, I watched.
Well, I'm programmed, so I do, because I don't want anybody to be offended. Which, if you can't figure out that is male and female, then you're an idiot.
What about the they, them? What about them? Them, they, them?
Wow, man, people just need control, and they want power over you in some form or fashion, and that's what that is. That's them asking you to cede what you know to be correct and true, and what you've learned over however old you are, your life, and to change it up for them, because that gives them some internal feeling of purpose and power and importance. Like, I'm not a psychologist. I pretend to be one on here. That's just my own personal opinion on how I perceive that.
Well, them would
After I led organizations for 20 some odd years, and I dealt with people day in and day out, I can pretty much, without having a degree, qualify myself that if that was going on in my organization, I'd be like, so you need some power, you need to be in charge of something, so let me give you something to be in charge of so that you stop infringing on everybody else's happiness. Because that's what it is, from my perspective. You want control over me, not me specifically, but others.
Yeah, they don't stand out enough, so they need to try to find power some way.
Yeah.
But if you're like they, them, that's multiple. So which multiple personality do you have?
You know, it's funny, you're kind of joking about it, but if you read an article and that's someone's preferred pronouns, then you don't really know what you're reading anymore, because it's the plural. So it's more than one person. You know what I mean? So it throws it off. It doesn't even make sense to me, but whatever. I digress.
Just like a non-binary gay person?
Yeah, I don't know how that happens. How can you be non-binary and gay? You have no sex, but yet you're gay?
Right. It's a game. And there's so many idiots out there that play it every day. I, for one, will not play the game.
I treat people with dignity and respect. That's what you get from me. Now, the second you act like a clown, you get treated like a clown. And by act, I mean, I do judge. We all do it. We all make split-second decisions with our visual senses, with our sense of smell, taste. I mean, you taste something that tastes bad, you spit it out. You don't force yourself to keep drinking it because of equity and inclusion of whatever it is that you're eating. You're like, it tastes bad, and you spit it out. It's the same thing when you see something with your eyes and it offends you, then you reject it.
I'm with you. You don't have to convince me. Did you hear? This is.
I have no authority, so I'm not trying to, I'm just saying. It's my opinion, my observations.
Authority? What do you mean authority?
So people cede authority, right? So when you're watching the news, and let's take Don Lemon, for example, and he's sitting there and he's telling you about medicines, he's telling you about war in some other country. If you believe his analysis that he's reading to you from the teleprompter, then you're giving him authority over you, so that now he has a position of authority, and so you trust and believe what Don Lemon says versus what you can see and read on your own, right? So, like, I'm not talking about any specific. I just used him because he was in the news recently, right? Like,
Yeah, he's always in the news.
but he was, for negative reasons again. So if I sit here and, like, I can bring in my paper, one of those papers I wrote 20 some odd years ago, and I have to quote everything, right? Because it's an undergraduate paper. So it's not, mostly of it is none of my own personal opinion. It's, I have to go find somebody that agrees with or disagrees with me or whatever, right?
Right.
And so, so it's not my own opinion. So I can get on here and say, this is what I found, this is, and everything else. And you can either choose to believe that I did that research, or you can be like, well, I'll trust Don Lemon because he's been on the news for 20 years or whatever it is, and it means more to me because he has a collared shirt on and he doesn't say and breathe into the microphone, right? Like, so there's things that he does very well that, like, I don't do. But what I do very well is read something and synthesize it in my own opinion. And so when I read something and I think I know what I'm talking about, like, nobody has authority over me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to believe what Fox News reporter tells me, CNN. Like, I will take that into account and maybe go back and look at it with that lens and see if maybe I'm missing something. But I'm not just going to be like, oh, well, John Handy said it, so this is the correct. Or Tucker Carlson, right? Like, I'm just to make sure I'm using conservative and liberal reporters.
So you're trying to appease way too many people.
No. But I'm saying, I'm showing the fact it doesn't matter if it's Fox or CNN. It's BS for the most part. You're getting a slant. So you have to read it for yourself and get rid of that slant. And trust your own ability to discern. You don't have to be a doctor, like we said in the last episode, to read medical journals. There's a summary in there, and it spells it out for you in layman's terms.
Right.
And people need to realize that you don't have to trust the news. You can go out and do it yourself. You can go and type in. Now it's harder and harder to find things because the AI and the algorithms are making it harder and harder to find, competing viewpoints on anything because they want you all to believe the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's harder and harder. But I'm just saying, so when you just watch the news and you believe it, you're giving up your authority on that topic. You're giving them authority over you on that topic. Just like you go to the doctor, you give him authority to hopefully know what he's doing or she's doing, looking through your stuff. But if you come home and they're like, you need to start taking this medicine, and the medicine costs $500 a month, it'd be in your best interest to do your own research and figure out why they're trying to put you on a $500 medicine when there's a 30-cent pill that does the same thing that was created in 1950. Right? Like, that's the kind of thing. And it's okay to question your doctor or anyone else in that sense, to do your own research and go back and ask questions. That's my point, is do your own research.
I know someone was watching TV the other day. There was more Pfizer commercials. But it's interesting because one of them's for this med to take if you get COVID. But by law, any medicine that's put on TV has to list side effects.
No, they changed that.
They must have just barely did it because,
No, it was recently changed.
yeah.
They don't put all the side effects on there.
Well, it's funny because they used to have to.
They used to have to.
That's
but
why the guy at the end would talk very fast, or the woman would talk real fast. Like, here's all the side effects. You could die. You could, lose a leg. You could get this, that, blah, 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 blah. But take this because it'll make you happier. You know how much money Pfizer spent on TV commercials and stuff since the pandemic?
What was it?
Pfizer, how much money they spent on ads, and they brought the Grammys. They did the whole thing, or was it? Which one was it? Was it the Grammys?
Whichever one.
It was the Grammys. One Sam Smith, the demon Satan worshiping thing, and then he gets all pissed because someone confronted him on the street in New York.
I mean, there's a clip where it takes every news channel and shows you all the news. It's
Pfizer.
brought to you by. It's the same guy, the same announcer.
Pfizer.
Make you think you're watching football. Brought to you by Pfizer. He says it all.
Yeah, I mean, Moderna has a ad on the back stretch or the back wall of the Red Sox Fenway. Yeah. Must be all that life-saving effort they put in that. Must be all that money they just got falling out everywhere. What are you looking for? Oh, when they changed that?
Yeah.
Well, they probably didn't. It's just they changed it for this. Just like
Only in the U.S. and New Zealand can they market prescription drugs directly to consumers. Did you know that?
Really? United States and New
It
Zealand.
started in 1997 when the FDA relaxed its guidelines relating to broadcast media.
Interesting. I mean, have you we watch TV? Almost every other ad is a medicine. If you took out...
No, I've been watching Freebie, what was it called, Corner Gas. It's some show set up in Saskatchewan, Canada. But it's got a British humor kind of feel. So there's dry sarcasm. Anyway, it's a good show. I'm enjoying it. It's 20 years old. But the commercials, Skyrizi, COVID, and there's one other one. That's all the commercials. It's basically 3 commercials for 3 different drugs. Skyrizi, and the COVID's not even that prevalent. It's mostly Skyrizi and some other thing.
Paxil, is that one? Or is that the COVID thing?
That's the COVID one.
Just trying to think, crazy.
But that's so 38 seconds, or because it shows you a countdown of how long it lasts. And so I sit there for the Skyrizi commercials, drive me nuts because it plays a lot during that. That's for Crohn's disease, I think. Lots of Crohn's disease. There might be some other one that's for Crohn's disease as well, but it stinks, right? Because I got Amazon Prime thinking I wouldn't have to watch commercials, and so then they created Freevee, so now you still got to watch commercials. So anything that's good enough, they move it to Freevee, and so you're still stuck watching 180 seconds worth of commercials every 8-10 minutes. It's kind of annoying. I hate commercials. I loathe commercials. I have no desire to watch them.
When you watch Netflix, you don't get commercials, but
Netflix and HBO Max, they're all so woke that it's ridiculous. You gotta
they don't update their shit very often. There's not that much on there to watch.
And the stuff that is on there is going to tell you that you're a bad person, generally speaking, or it's going to be so diverse that the storyline's taken away because they're trying to add plot lines for everything else instead of just telling one good story. Yeah, that's my take on TV.
I did watch the...
I stick to 80s and 90s movies.
For
the most part.
The Family, which is a series on Netflix. And so my massage therapist has been telling me for ever, you should watch this. You should watch this. And I finally saw it. And now I know why she said I should watch this. Holy shit. You want to know why? the Uniparty exists and everything, because there's this group in Washington called the Family, and none of it's like, it's all like unwritten, not a club cult, but it really is. And it's supposedly just like they put on the National Prayer Breakfast every year. So it's supposed to be like this Christian thing, except this guy that goes, they give him the books of like Luke, Matthew, John. Like there's only 4 books, and the rest of the Bible doesn't matter according to them. And then they like twist the words too, and it's like, oh yeah, no, Jesus only cared about powerful people. He didn't care about poor people, which I'm like, I guess we read different Bibles, but
That's like the exact opposite of what I read.
yeah, isn't it weird, interesting? Yeah. So, anyways, every powerful person, even like in the world, has a connection to this group, and yeah, it was an interesting series. I watched it, and I'm like, well, because her whole thing, I think, is like she's not Christian. She doesn't believe in that, I guess, which is fine. I don't judge anyone based on you believe in whatever you want to believe in, but I can see after you watch this, you get such a bad taste for it in your, like, you would really be like, yeah, I don't know nothing to do with that. Like, I'm like, that's not like anything I've ever learned in my life. So this is like this is a cult. Like, dude, this is a cult, straight up cult. And they surround themselves with the most powerful people in the world. It's very interesting.
I've been following those kinds of things since, I want to say, a lady died while she was in a Scientology thing in Florida. This is like, so I don't want to get sued by Scientologists, but allegedly something happened back in like the 90s. They wouldn't give her medicine or something.
Well, Scientologists are more nuts than these freaking people.
And so I've been interested in the fact that, and then you read, and then Scientology's goal was to infiltrate the FBI so that they could get their tax status. Like it's all about infiltration, man. Like, everybody just infiltrates the government and then gets the policies that they want changed that way. Yeah. Through the bureaucracy, by the way, not necessarily through voting. They do it through the bureaucrats that are unelected.
These guys are more the guys that are elected, but guys in government.
No, I know, but I'm just saying the whole, like secret groups or organizations, or the influence of groups or organizations. They don't even have to be secret, but they have power and influence. And you're like, but that's cool that you have friends or whatever, but at the end of the day, you should be doing what the majority of your constituents write to you. Or
and this guy was good. This guy was really good, because like, no pressure, it's just all under the disguise of like, you know, a lot of like brotherhood, but they had a girls part of it too, but like, it's what it was. It was just get to know Jesus and all this thing, and like, that's totally what it is. But you can totally watch like the influence and everything they have. It shouldn't exist. First of all, the separation of church and state is for this exact reason, like this. Not necessarily so kids can't pray in school, but eye-opening to say the least. Very, very interesting.
So The Family on Netflix?
And every single president's done this for 80 years now. Like, they used to be the National Prayer Breakfast brought to you by whatever, and it's not, like, everybody knows. Like, it's so crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, I watched that over the weekend. There's another one too, like, what was it? It's about Google, social experiment kind of thing. It's not one that so many should watch, and I saw it, and I'm like, I guess I should watch that, especially after I watched this one. So Biden, is President's Day, he's heading to Poland, and then he's going to Kyiv. So, and if you don't know, Kyiv is the capital of Ukraine, which was going to fall in 3 days after the start of this war a year ago, and it's still standing. And now apparently it's so safe that the President of the United States can go there. And so it just makes me wonder a lot of things. But so Marjorie Taylor Greene put this out yesterday. It says, Joe Biden will be impeached. Ukraine is not the 51st state. We are over $34 trillion in debt. Borders invaded daily by thousands, and Americans have been poisoned in East Palestine. Enough, impeach him. Because he says that, now this is what gets me. I want to find the video so I can put on the show. And I did find the video. It took me a while, though. But this video is actually from 9 months ago. But he's basically, in the video, he says that Joe Biden announces that the U.S. taxpayers, that's me and you and the rest of our listeners, are going to pay the pensions and welfare for the people of Ukraine. And this is why millions of Americans can't afford food, housing, or medical due to Biden's policy. Also why thousands of Americans are homeless on the street. Yet we're going to pay their pensions and their welfare because they're at such horrible war over there. Like when a friend of mine was over there, what was it? Maybe 9 months ago, 6 months, I don't know. We talked about it on the show. She was in the west part near Poland, and it's like his life is normal. It didn't even seem like anything was going on. So, and this also comes with Putin or Russia's tried to negotiate how many times with them? But now, see, a year ago we were not going to get involved, but now, DC Drano, Biden sends tanks to Ukraine after getting caught blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. Haven't heard anything about that, really, have we? The U.S. government orders citizens out of Russia. Kamala warns Russia has committed crimes against humanity. Call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure Biden is pushing us into World War III. GOP Congress needs to stop him.
What's interesting is that
Trump was going to start World War III?
well, that, but also Kamala said that they have proof or whatever, and then she didn't provide any proof of crimes against humanity, whereas Putin said that he had proof that we committed crimes against humanity through the bioweapon labs, right?
I mean,
this is all, these aren't my words.
I would think COVID would definitely be a crime against humanity.
Well, I don't even know if he's talking about COVID. He's talking about so Hunter was involved with bioweapon labs in Ukraine. You can go back and look at the history of it with Obama going over there in like 2004 when he was a senator. He went over there with another senator. I mean, so the history is there if people want to look and find it. And I'm probably wrong on some stuff, but that's why we talk about it, so everybody else can go read it and figure it out, and maybe if we are wrong, correct us on it. But, yeah, it's ridiculous. The fact that she sat there and was like, trust me, Kamala Harris, who can't put a
the cackling
12th grade sentence together, right? So she is well, never mind. So she can't put a sentence together, but yet I'm supposed to trust her. I'm supposed to trust her.
Yeah, but Ukraine is a country, a smaller country surrounded by a bigger country.
That's about how she talks, and I'm supposed to trust anything
she did talk. She said this. This is like a legit thing, and everyone picked on her about it because I'm sorry, but this woman is dumb as a box of rocks. I'm sorry to say that, but it's a fact. You should watch this. You should watch this. And I finally saw it. And now I know why she said I should watch this. Holy shit. You want to know why, like, the Uniparty exists and everything? Because there's this group in Washington called The Family. And none of it's like, it's all like unwritten, not a club cult, but it really is. And it's supposedly just like they put on the National Prayer Breakfast every year. So it's supposed to be like this Christian thing. Except this guy that goes, they give him the books of like Luke, Matthew, John. Like there's only 4 books. And the rest of the Bible doesn't matter according to them. And then they like twist the words too. And it's like, oh yeah, no, Jesus only cared about powerful people. He didn't care about poor people. Which I'm like, I guess we read different Bibles. But
that's like the exact opposite of what I read.
Yeah, isn't it? Weird, interesting. Yeah. So anyways, every powerful person, even like in the world, has a connection to this group. And yeah, it was an interesting series. I watched it and I'm like, well, because her whole thing, I think, is like, she's not Christian. She doesn't believe in that, I guess, which is fine. I don't judge anyone based on you believe in whatever you want to believe in. But I can see after you watch this, you get such a bad taste for it in your, like, you would really be like, yeah, I don't know nothing to do with that. Like, I'm like, that's not like anything I've ever learned in my life. So this is like this is a cult. Like, dude, this is a cult. Straight up cult. and they surround themselves with the most powerful people in the world. Supposedly has a law degree. Yeah, sure. I don't know where she got it from, but or something disconnected somewhere, because how could it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Dude, at the end of the day, Trump is going to Ohio, Biden is going to Ukraine. There's a dichotomy there that regardless of all the buffoonery and the outburst that Trump's had and his mean tweets, he is going to America.
Yeah.
And Biden is going to the cronies where his son is linked in with allegedly other politicians' children as well. So it's not just Hunter.
Pelosi, Romney. We really should find.
There's one more alleged, at least one more, probably more. But
so I want everyone to know today, when you got up to go to work and you left your family and you're like, Cap, I'm gonna go. Maybe you love your job, hate your job. But anyways, you went to work today, and then at the end of the week, you'll get a paycheck. You'll get raped out of 28% of it by the government. But I just want you to know, and you should be thankful that you are contributing to Ukraine. I mean, like,
their pensions will be paid.
Like,
meanwhile, the soldiers in the military are told to go get on food stamps.
Yeah. So
we'll put the soldiers on food stamps instead of paying them a proper wage.
Yeah. So, because this is what's important. Like,
or if you don't want to give them a proper wage, how about reduce call back your decisions, open up the pipeline again, restore.
But that's bad for the environment.
I know, man. It's so frustrating. It's just, if you think about it too long, it's just anger inducing. You just got to use discernment, right? So you have Rosie O'Donnell agreeing with Trump on Ohio. And,
did you see that?
But she's saying, like, get them off the land, whatever, right? So that's kind of in line with the whole 15-minute city Agenda 2030 thing, which is, yeah, she doesn't want them living in polluted land, but it also lines up with that alleged, we can take away your land and put you in a city.
They don't want you to own anything. This has been said for how long now?
That's true.
So
you'll own nothing and you'll like it because you'll just be a slave and they'll give you some slop. You eat that slop.
So this brings us to the meme that you
go to work every day.
Yeah.
Give 30% of tribute to
the big guy
and all his friends. Yeah. That makes a difference, by the way. If you've never paid taxes and had to pay them like quarterly or whatever, that's a lot. Like when you look at your paycheck stub, you can tell how much it is, right? But whenever you have to do it quarterly, you really figure out how much more money you could have to live comfortably and enjoy life if you didn't have to send your money to study homosexuality in Pakistan.
Where they stone you to death.
Allegedly.
I ain't even saying that. All right, you sent me another meme. Trains derail all the time. Young athletes have always died suddenly, and vinyl chloride is perfectly safe. I don't know what you're worried about. There's nothing, it's okay.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's cool. There's nothing wrong with vinyl chloride, burning up 250,000 gallons of it and let it run in streams. And
it's healthy.
And I looked up when they did it. So the crash happened on the 3rd. They lit it on fire on the 6th. So 3 days went by. They said, okay, the reason they did that was because they didn't want it to blow up because the temperature was changing on it, okay? So apparently stuff's pretty volatile, you got to really control it. So if it blew up, it could have put shrapnel or whatever everywhere. Well, I find that interesting because...
Didn't they evacuate everybody?
They evacuated everything anyways. And if it blew up, it probably would have burnt it would have burnt faster, quicker. It probably would have actually dissipated faster.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, it might have put a big hole in the ground there,
That's all conjecture, but...
Sure, but I just don't... I don't buy the whole, it was best if we just burnt this. Who?
I don't know, I thought whenever you burned it, you had to get it to a certain temperature, so... Right? Everything has a melting, boiling, whatever point.
Yes. everything has a flashpoint, boil
Right,
point.
there you go.
Like,
Thank you. I was looking for
everything.
those firefighter words.
Yeah. 454, that's temperature which paper will burn, books will burn, whatever. Fahrenheit 454 was a book, right? Yeah, so every chemical has that explosion, every chemical has that. So you should look that up. What is the flash point or the whatever on vinyl chloride? I'd be curious to see what it is. Because how are you going to get it to that degree? I don't know. The whole thing's effed. And then, while it happens, our government's like, well, yeah, we're not going to do nothing. Like, it's not our business that the train derailed. We're going to go to Poland, and then we're going to bring some tanks. See, now we're putting tanks in Ukraine.
Like that's the so I think everything that's missed in all of our pointing out all the craziness is the fact that we're, as a government, it seems like they are definitely trying to get us into World War III. But if you haven't figured out yet,
No, that was Trump.
no,
Trump.
But seriously,
No, seriously, Trump was the one who was getting us World War II.
that's what they said. But Tim, I'm being dead serious here. Like they launched a missile from Ukraine into Poland, said it was Russia, and then magically, all of a sudden, they realized that it was a Ukrainian missile that misfired. I am here to tell you, trust me when I tell you all this, the military, the intelligence agencies knew the minute that thing left the air where it was left the ground where it was coming from. So to sit here and act like for 12 or 18 hours they didn't know where that rocket came from is a straight up, like, either we have incompetent people in the military now, they need to be fired. This is coming from an HR guy. I have no MLRS, any of that other stuff, but I do know that we have the capability to figure out where things are launched from. And then we have also the capability to destroy where it was launched from wholeheartedly without any hesitation or reservation. We could destroy an entire grid around where that thing launched from. Like, that's the capabilities that we have as a military. So when I sit here and I listen to them say for 12 hours that it came from Russia, and then all of a sudden they flip-flop and they say, oh, nope, it came from Ukraine, there's a lie being told. And the lie, in my estimation, came at the beginning of the day when they said it was from Russia. So for me, I have serious issue with that because either the military technology has gotten worse, which you've talked about, maybe it has, but in 5 years you're telling me all of a sudden they can't tell where something launched from. They can tell. So that was all garnered to get us ramped up, right? Trying to provoke us into World War III. That's just one example. There's others, like real examples of them trying to get us into war with Russia. And it's ridiculous. And I go back and I'll say it again. In the 90s, Russia said, without a doubt, NATO, don't encroach upon us. NATO said, we won't, and now they are. And this is what's going to happen, because Russia said, if you do, we will retaliate. So they have no other choice but to retaliate. We've backed them into a corner.
But how many times now has he called for ceasefire, peace agreement, whatever? And Zelensky keeps saying no. Well,
Zelensky is an actor. Like, he literally played the president on TV and, like, programmed people into, I guess. But, I mean, have you watched any of the clips? Like, this dude isn't a clown.
Yeah.
He is literally a clown without makeup. Go watch some of his acting chops. He's a clown. A clown without makeup. That Ben Stiller is so proud of. And, like, that's, like, I don't understand this country anymore. We're going to send actors over there and prop this dude up like he's some great leader. Sean Penn, and didn't he go over there?
a lot of them did. The dude never wore a suit. He's always wearing a
It's so
sweater.
uncomfortable to watch the ass kissing of Ben Stiller to that. Like, I have no respect for Ben. I used to like a lot of his movies, but after watching him kowtow and kiss up to that guy, that's disgusting. You should watch it sometime. Ben Stiller meeting Zelensky a couple months ago. It's disgusting.
They're all a bunch of frauds.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Every one of them. And they all got rich off of you, too. Like,
yeah, because I got all of Ben Stiller's movies. You're welcome, Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Sellout.
so anyway,
I'm not necessarily taking Russia's side on this, but what I'm saying is we don't need to go to war. War is horrible. War with somebody like Russia is not going to be like going over to Iraq or Iraq. Like that, like Russia is a superpower. Was a superpower. It's got some.
I don't know. It couldn't take Ukraine though.
But do we even know what the truth is?
That's what I question.
Because
We've
why
always
wouldn't
been
it? Like it
fear
could if
you-
it wanted to. I would imagine.
It was always fear Russia, fear China. Okay.
Because I look at it this way: if the U.S. wanted to go take over 10 miles south of the border into Mexico, the U.S. would do it.
Yeah, piece of cake. But-
Exactly. Like, don't get me
But
wrong.
remember, but-
we might get bombed or whatever else and everything from
Cartels.
cartel. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the whole.
Listen, I watched this a year ago. I physically watched it on whatever channel I had it on. Didn't matter if it was CNN or whatever. This whole thing. Kiev's gonna fall by the weekend, and a year later.
Tell them everything
It's
is to
still
ramp
there.
us up, to get us all fired up and confused about everything. You need to keep your eye on the list of pedophiles that needs to come out. That's what the real number one is who all is corrupted and.
But is it going to matter because they're not going to get arrested anyways? We know most of the government's on the list. We know it.
Well, I don't know if we know it. We assume it.
We know it.
We assume.
Bill Clinton been to that island more than anybody, probably.
20 some odd times, allegedly.
Yeah. Where's the outcry there?
No, but to me, that's the. Like, once all of those who were corrupted with human trafficking, that's what they're all trying to keep us from finding out. And my point of view is they don't want us to know that they're all horrible people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call them people if they're involved with human trafficking.
All of Hollywood, all our government.
It's not all, but it's a lot.
Well, yeah.
It's a lot.
Not all. Very big majority.
I don't know if it's a majority, but like I would say there's a lot of big names on there that will definitely change people's minds about the whole system. The political system, the whole movie system, yeah, everything should collapse once all that comes out. We've propped up all these movie stars, and they're jackasses, most of them.
They made millions.
Like, you listen to them talk, and it's worse than listening to me and you talk, man. They can't, like, they don't do the amount of research that we think that we do. Most of them. Some of them do. But, like, they're talking, they just read whatever they're told. They're actors. They memorize lines. They're not special.
And they made
They're pretty or beautiful or
millions.
handsome.
Millions of dollars.
But that's about it. Like, appreciate their acting ability, appreciate their good looks, but it ends there for me. Like, for the most part, like, I like listening to some of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of them are like, oh, that you agree with. It's easier to listen to. But still, at the end of the day, we're all idiots.
We all buy into it. We all
Yeah, like what do we know? Like, there's so much disinformation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got Rosie agreeing with Trump on something, and that throws up flags for me because I thought they hated each other.
They do. Well, I think that was the whole point of it, right? Is
Right.
things are so bad that this person who hates this person,
They're actually in agreement.
agree on something.
Yeah, but I listened to her words where she's like, "Get them out of there," right? Because I see it also as a possible land grab. I mean, there's so many different things you could blame. Or it could just be it's a chemical spill and we're making too big of a deal out of it because our own federal government didn't acknowledge it. And it goes back to, like we said, how about some apologies? How about some acknowledging of what went wrong and how we can fix it? Because they got to know. I mean, there's videotape of that wheel on fire from 10 miles out, like on a motion camera. At least that's what they reported it to be.
That was some of what I was looking at yesterday too. Is
That footage where they let it keep going for 20 miles?
yeah, it's almost like they wanted to. I figured maybe it would derail right where it did. I don't know. Like, and that whole white noise, that whole movie thing keeps coming back, which is just
Eerily similar.
yeah.
And those people, well, I didn't know White Noise was filmed in that town.
Yeah.
And they were extras.
From the town. And it's,
So then you're like, am I watching movies or is this really an interview? See, that's where it gets like crazy. That's where you got to use discernment, and it's really hard. It's getting harder and harder because they're throwing so much stuff at us these days.
I mean, hey, I sent you it this weekend. That's 9 hours and like 9.5 hours to go to East Palestine. Like we were talking about
Driving out there,
but at the same time, like, what the hell are we going to do? We're going to go out. We'll probably get pictures of the same stuff we see right now. We couldn't tell you if it was good air quality, bad air quality, good water, bad water, and I'm sure the hell not drinking it. So, like, I mean, I have no question. It's real. It happened, but
Well, I mean, if Trump is going there, I would assume the air quality is breathable. Like he wouldn't go there if it was going to.
I don't think it's an air quality thing now. I think it's going to just be more
ground.
What did it poison around
water.
the area? Yeah, the whole air thing. I think
It's spread.
That's
it's
already gone,
dissipated.
Yeah, but you know, it's the bigger picture for me is the federal government forced the rail unions into those. Well, didn't even think about that until I said it. We were talking this weekend, and basically, if they strike again, it's a felony or federal offense.
That's why it's a uniparty, because
Yes.
the Democrats, much less the squad, the progressive team, should have been standing up for this labor union, and they did not. They voted to end the strike instead of supporting the strike. So not only are there instances where Republicans are not really Republicans, there are instances where Democrats are not really Democrats. They're all in it for the system. They have different names to make you think but they're all together. At the end of the day, that's all BS, because they could have stopped it.
Yeah.
Or they could have stopped it. They could have tried. They could have helped and shown support, and they didn't.
And it just also shows that our infrastructure in the country is even worse than we think. Because, I mean, let's face it, we drive on shit roads every day.
Dude, the infrastructure is a joke.
My road
I
is
say it every episode. It's 2023. We don't have high-speed internet. We don't have paved roads, and we're calling ourselves like the greatest country. We're not. We're not. If we were, then whenever they were having the debate about internet being like a necessity, then we would all have high-speed internet at a relatively low price.
You know what you need to do is need to talk to some of the people that are on that train, but they would never talk because they'd end up dead somehow.
There was a former engineer for that company that talked.
Still breathing?
But he was the one. It was a part of the video where I watched where it was on fire for like 20 miles before it finally derailed. Like they knew it was on fire because of the sensors, and they told them to continue on.
Yeah, because it doesn't take that long to stop the train. It takes a mile. They went, 20 miles longer? Because there's every town, every 10 miles has a sensor thing that reports back to the train or whatever. So they knew 20 miles before the town that this was a serious issue.
Right. And then if you go back and you look at the labor dispute, right, they were looking for,
they were saying
fewer hours or overworked.
Less maintenance.
Yeah.
Basically, everything you would never do in an airplane, because airplanes would start dropping out of the sky, which then would be a serious thing, right? But it's because it's a train, it's like, whatever. So this is the equivalent of a plane crash. So instead of 300 people dying, it just
slowly poisons 3,000.
Yeah.
Allegedly. It's crazy, Tim. At the end of the day, we all need to join together and really ask ourselves, are our federal taxes being spent wisely?
I don't think we have to ask that question. I think everyone would be like, yeah, no.
So if that's everybody's answer, then we should all tell our congressmen and women that maybe we should stop paying our taxes for a while until y'all get your shit right. Is that dangerous territory?
Yeah, it is if you're not flying a freaking Ukrainian flag. Like, maybe our state should add a Ukrainian flag on it. Like,
well, I saw that meme for Ohio.
Yeah. Like, maybe then the government would care.
I don't really want the government to care about me.
I don't either. But
I want the government to stop taxing me for things that I don't want to pay for. And that most of us don't want to pay for it. Right? If I was like an minority on a few things. I get it. I'm going to have to suffer. But I'm pretty sure most Americans that pay taxes, like the federal taxes on their paychecks, loathe those taxes whenever they see where it's all being spent. Handicapped bathrooms at the top of a mountain that a healthy person can barely get to. No way someone in a wheelchair, unless they're like helicopter, brought in by helicopter for the most part, is getting up that mountain. But they're going to have handicap accessible stalls. Like, that's what your tax dollars go for.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, you need handicap accessible everywhere, except for somewhere that, like, you know what I mean? Like, is someone afraid to say, like, hey, man, like, odds of you making it up there are slim to none, because there's no way that wheelchair is going to get up there unless somebody's carrying you up there, like Yoda, and then someone's carrying your wheelchair.
But when they finally get there and they need to use the bathroom,
I wonder how many times that's happened. I'm not talking about one like normal, they're on a trail that anybody, that's well established. I'm talking about like in the middle of the Appalachian Trail, in the middle of nowhere, in the 100-mile wilderness.
Listen, if you're in a wheelchair, you're not going to go up Mount Washington. Not the road that you can take a car up. I'm talking like up Tuckerman's Ravine. Like, you can't do that. It won't happen. But, well, it's up there. We're going to put a handicapped bathroom in.
So, like, somewhere along that trail, so not along the road trail or not at the top or whatever, but like somewhere along that trail, they'll build a handicap accessible bathroom because it's required by law.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not that like somebody's out there thinking, but it's required by law, so they have to do it per code. But my point is, instead of building a $5,000 outhouse, you're building a $30,000 one because, whatever somebody when I was up in Maine broke it down for me. Like, this isn't my data. This is somebody who lives in Maine that was like, just started talking to me about the BS of taxing, and because I think they're on like a trail committee or something. Because they have committees that go up there and review that kind of stuff. So anyway, there's a lot of pork, a lot of wasted tax dollars.
No. I mean, you know what I find funny, too, is we talk about this, like the rec center is going to happen, right? Which is pork in the federal government's budget. How is there this much pork in a budget when you're $34 trillion in debt?
Well, that's the horrible thing. Is like, so we're just borrowing money to make life worse for our grandkids and their kids. Like, at some point, somebody's going to have to say, no more money.
Can you imagine you're at home and you and your wife are running the checkbook, right? And so you've got this extra money left in a budget, right? So we've got $1 billion left over this year. We're $34 trillion in debt, but I'm going to take the billion instead of paying towards our debt. I'm going to take the billion. I'm going to give Newport a rec center. I'm going to give Los Angeles a fucking dog wash center. I'm going to, like, whatever. We're going to do all these things. Like, and then we still keep sending these same people back to Washington. And
because they got us with bread and circuses, man. So we're getting a rec center. So Shaheen and them are all good because they got us a rec center.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Damn, she's done a lot for Newport with a rec center. I'm going to get a rec center, I guess, supposedly.
A rec center with what kind of stipulations?
I don't know. I mean, that would be interesting to see down the road. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad Newport's getting a rec center. I am. 100%. I'm not against it at all. But I'm still going to talk about the fact that that is federal money that's, we just get blessed enough that it'll actually happen in Newport because it would just be another place that wouldn't benefit us in any way. Either way, it's going to happen. They're going to spend the money on whatever the hell they feel like they want to. But it's just crazy. Completely crazy.
I can't wrap my head around it. That's why I'm saying everything.
And you can't drive more than like 15 miles an hour down my road or you'll be in the woods. Springfield Road is, from what I understand, it's not on the plan to be paid for like a couple more years at least. Dude, I'm ready to go out there with a dozer and rip the freaking asphalt up myself. And because you know what? You could grade the road and it'd be smoother and better than it would be if it is right now.
Yeah, that road's horrible.
It's a joke. Absolute joke. But I'm supposed to just accept the road as it is. I'm supposed to accept everything because
There's a
we're
plan
doing the
allegedly where
best
it's
we
good.
can do. Used to be the buses had to go in the morning, those roads are plowed and cleared, and then that was it. There was no excuse. It happened, and it happened every single time.
Yeah, we got a society full of lazy people these days.
Now, you're lucky to see it plow, like, not on major roads, but side roads. 24 hours one time. I'm like,
Yeah, they used to do it like staggered, and now they just go out all at one time.
something. But my point is, and it's not the people that are working.
Yeah, no.
It's people telling me when to work and whatever, is now all of a sudden I'm supposed to accept your excuse of, oh, this is why. But 20 years ago,
It worked just fine.
it worked just fine and nothing was wrong and it happened. And you can't tell me, oh, we had so many more people. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Just like I was at Shaw's yesterday. Oh, my God. First of all, don't go to Shaw's unless it's like convenience store prices for stuff. But it was a pound of freaking honey ham, whatever, and the prepackaged stuff that Lydia saw. She's like, oh, I'm like, I don't think so. It was $9.99 a pound.
For a pound of prepackaged?
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. But anyways, come over there, speaker. It's like, due to the increased demand on food, there's some shortages, but work with us, and we're hiring. And I'm like, there's no goddamn increased demand in food. Everyone in the town of Newport, okay, if we're talking about Newport, let's talk about Newport. Everybody still has the same desire for the same amount of food. We haven't got a huge influx of people, so that wouldn't increase the demand. No, they're conditioning you
To accept
the
higher
fact
prices.
that higher prices and less food in their store because of the demand that we've put on them. No, shop and eat and do the same thing I've done every week for the last X amount of years. You just, what? So that way, the next time I talk to someone, they're going to be like, oh, did you hear? There's such a high demand on food.
No, that's a lie.
They're like, no, did you realize that you're being brainwashed now when you go grocery shopping?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, that's not true. Oh, my God. What are you? That's crazy. You're so crazy. I'm crazy? So please, tell me, what has changed the demand for food? Are we sending that to Ukraine too? No, I don't think so. What's changed? I mean, third biggest chicken plant just burnt
That
down.
might have changed, but that's not
Sure.
the demand on food. That's a
Nope.
lack of supply.
Yeah. So, what's changed? Demand.
Supply has
The
changed.
demand has gone up, Steve. The demand for food is.
See, I didn't hear that when I was on there the other day. I don't really pay attention to. Ever since they tried to make me walk in a line and follow arrows,
That was so you didn't get COVID.
because the COVID's follow the lines in the grocery store.
Yeah, if you all went down this aisle the same direction,
There would be no COVID.
yes.
It
if you
wouldn't
did
transfer
this-
into the boxes or anything.
Exactly.
People are crazy, man. We'll believe anything. You know what I mean? They create emergency situations because people react and stop using logic and reason whenever they think that there's a crisis or an emergency.
You mean like putting kindergartners and first graders and second graders in masks and like, yeah, they learn just fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Blatant lie, even though
So-
the test results are going down and the kids are. My own daughter's coming home and like, Dad, I can't read lips. I can't really hear anything. Like my own old enough to communicate child is having an issue at school, but yet the first and second graders are fine. They're pronouncing their words properly, even with wearing a mask. They're mimicking behavior properly.
yeah.
We were told that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Locally and nationally.
Yeah. Now, I'll give you some real science. Yeah, notice.
The real science of a Swiss cheese sandwich.
That was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Talking to a room full of adults trying to convince me that animated Swiss cheese with a virus flying through it is going to convince me of anything is freaking ridiculous. That's for like third graders at best.
And when two of the levels weren't obtainable, which was one of them was vaccines, which weren't even available for kids at that point, and then there was one other one. So it was like,
But didn't 99% of the
It went
virus go through
through
the first
anyways.
mask or
Oh, fuck yeah,
piece
that
of
was-
Swiss cheese?
went right through it like it was nothing. Like,
It's like your own article demonstrates the uselessness of the mask, or your own little
yeah.
weak video for children that you're trying to play for adults in the town.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, never mind.
Say it.
Nope.
Pussy. Yeah. Another, I saw this yesterday too. Pilot spots a large white balloon off of Hawaii.
I mean, the balloons are all. I am.
I have a question. It's a legit question, okay? And a meme. Why is it okay to say Chinese spy balloon but not Chinese virus? Really? I'm wondering. I thought it was racist.
Oh, it depends.
Oh, wait. It's because D was next to their name when they said, I got it. Now I understand. That makes so much sense to me now. Yeah, all right. Cool. See?
Hey, you want to know what the problem with our media and everything is right now? The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012.
Do tell.
It amends the Information Educational Exchange Act of 1948 to authorize the Secretary of State and the Broadcasting Board of Governors to provide for the preparation and dissemination of information intended for foreign audiences abroad about the U.S., including about its people, its history, the federal government's policies, through press, publications, radio, motion picture, the internet, and other information media, including social media, and through information centers and instructors. Under current law, such authority is restricted to information disseminated abroad, right? So it used to be only abroad. So we would go propagandize all around the world, but couldn't do it at home. In 2012, they can now publish that stuff at home. So this, in effect, gives Congress or gives the media, broadcast, all these people the ability to use propaganda against us. So that's why I say it takes...
Obama
you have to
signed
be able
that.
to discern. You have to, because there's so much stuff out there that who knows if it's real? Because we're out there undermining governments all around the world. That's how the U.S. operates. We put people in power that are sympathetic to us. We've overthrown governments by using propaganda and lies and everything else. And so now this allows it to be used domestically. So our own government feels like they have to be able to use propaganda against us.
So I was thinking we could start doing this.
2012, 112th Congress, H.R. 5736, if you want to look it up.
So if we could start doing this, okay? But here's the kicker. You would probably have to be the one to do it, because if I did it, I could just guarantee somehow I'll get myself in trouble. But we should call every day on the show Shaheen and we're going to call their offices, right? And Hassan, and just we'll ask these questions like this. Well, why did you accept this, or whatever the problem is? If I do it, somehow I'm going to drop a threat somehow.
They're not going to answer their phone.
Oh, I know. It would just be a voicemail, right? So it'd be completely pointless, but it would be fun to do. It's like, hey, it's Tim and Steve again calling, and day 63. We're wondering how come you guys are sending all this money to Ukraine, but you don't give a crap about our roads in this state or this country, I guess. And you want us to drive electric cars because that's the way of the future, but.
And just in case what I read, because I didn't read the full summary, so here's another one. Amends the Foreign Relations Authorization Act, fiscal years 1986 and 1987, to prohibit funds for the Department of State or the Board from being used to influence public opinion or propagandizing in the United States. So it amends it. So that means that under current law, such provision applies to the United States Information Agency. So it amends it to prohibit funds for the Department of State from being used to influence. So what does it amend? So I don't think that's right. Like, I think it's worded there to confuse you. Oh, it applies those prohibition only to programs carried out pursuant to the United States Information and Education Exchange Act. Not prohibit the department or board from providing information about its operations. Not be construed to prohibit the department from engaging in any medium of information on a presumption that a U.S. domestic audience may be exposed to program material. So it doesn't prohibit it. Like, so it's saying, like, don't think that you can't do this just because U.S. citizens are hearing it anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it brings me to the meme of the day. It fits perfectly. It's time people admit that the mainstream media's job is not to tell the truth. The job is to make sure you don't find out the truth, because that would be bad for business. Yeah.
Anyway, so it allows them to sway our opinion by other than regular, normal, factual means.
Yeah, they can lie to you.
So you can apply,
They just make it up as you go.
Which makes sense, because if you read stuff anymore, they just all cite one article. So you and I could make something up today, and then technically everybody else can cite us and say, well, I cited Tim and Steve. Even though you and I could have just sat here and pulled something out of our rear ends.
Yeah.
I don't know, Tim. It's a crazy world. I'm sorry about that, audience.
94 shows in, you're still making that mistake.
Well, I didn't think it would echo and reverberate as much as it did.
That was a cheap stand. I'm sorry, dude. All right, well, we're going to wrap this thing up. So, tonight, Selectmen's meeting, 6:30. I have it on good authority that you should watch the meeting because it could be interesting. Throwing that out there. Trying to think what else. It's Monday. It's President's Day. Banks aren't open.
Should be a federal holiday.
It is a federal holiday.
Yeah, well, why is stuff still going on then?
Why did the kids go to school?
Yeah.
I don't know. Kids are at school?
I guess because they can only have 5 days off or whatever it is.
Yeah. So, listen, you woke up this morning, it's Monday, you don't want to go to work because, it is a Monday, but just think, while you're at work today, busting your ass to provide for your family so you can eat and pay taxes and bills and all that stuff. Biden's over in Kyiv giving away our money, saying, hey, guys, I'm here.
Oh, hey, just so you're also aware, there are 6 related fact-checking pages saying everything that I just told you is not correct, even though I read that off the summary.
Everything he just said is the most correct out of anyone, because the more fact checks you have, the more accurate the story is.
Obama didn't authorize lying by the media.
No,
Obama did not sign a law allowing propaganda in the U.S. The change essentially eased restrictions for Americans who want to access government-funded media content. So just eased it. Okay. I like how they used other words. They eased it, so therefore it's everywhere. It's easier to do. Like you just said, it's easier. How many articles have we read where it's like, where's your source? Kind of like Kamala saying that Russia's committed crimes against humanity. You want me to take your word for it? I ain't taking your word for shit. Never take the government's word for anything. That's the beauty of America, is like we don't, like you have to show us. It's almost like Missouri, the show me state. Show me.
So,
show me the crimes against humanity. I know you were trying to wrap this up,
but think about it. Let's look at our country. We are we were the laughing stock of the world because of Trump. We're the laughing stock of the world now because we're fucking stupid. So we took the dumbest people we could find in this country, Joe Biden and Harris, the dumbest, and said, we're going to make you president and can make her vice president. And like, oh, all right. And then, boom, here they are. And now they do everything you can imagine wrong on purpose because you couldn't do this much wrong. Like me and you could go there. We don't know anything about government. We could go there and not make the amount of mistakes that these people make. You can't. It's not possible.
Well, that's why it drives me nuts, is because it's on purpose. Like, I don't think she's as dumb as she talks to us. Like, she's doing that to piss people like me, you, and everybody else off.
Right.
Like,
Who
why
are
else
the-
would you talk like we're all
Who are the dumb ones?
first graders? Maybe.
Those two? Or all of us out here like, yeah, that's our president and vice president right there. Damn, they're smart. Not going to go to Palestine. I'm going to go to
Hey,
Poland. And
my loyalty has always been to the Constitution. It's not to a political figure on any side of any aisle or down the middle of the aisle. It's to the Constitution.
right now, we're in a real life game of how many things can I do before these people actually say enough's enough.
Exactly. That's a good way of looking at it.
And we are down like 1,000 points to nothing.
Seems like it.
Like I think this dude could walk down the street and just start randomly shooting people, and he'd probably kill half of Washington. Well,
No, he would come down like our streets. Or
Yeah.
something.
He wouldn't do it in
would go down
DC,
DC.
yeah.
They're all liberals.
and it'd be like, hey, at what point do you think these people will stop me? Well, I don't know. He took
Well,
it.
you'd have a lot of people making excuses for him.
Right.
Well, he's older. He's the president.
Yeah, that guy over there, like,
His hand's trembling. He didn't really mean to do it. That guy, see, I bet he's a racist. He's white and he's married.
I bet. That's true.
Like, thank you, Joe. You saved us.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but there'd be some people that were like, oh, they deserved it. Like, you'd have it on both sides. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, you're right. It's almost as if it's a joke now. How much can we get away with before someone stops us?
How many crimes can my son commit that involve me before?
See, that's what I don't understand. You've now been on Marco Polo. You've seen with your own eyes. He has asked his lawyers to get that information back, whatever else. So it's not like it's made up.
Yeah.
There's 459 documented crimes that they found when they were putting it on the website. And yet, he allegedly walks free, and his dad is still president.
And then there's things that aren't even on that, like when he was selling his artwork for $500,000.
Right.
That'd be like me selling Adelina's artwork for.
Well, that's money laundering 101. Like the banana was on tape. You're telling me that some rich person thinks that's art? You ever look at like classical? Have you ever seen some of the statues that our ancestors built out of marble that look like they're wearing a veil, and it's all in marble? It's ridiculous. And then now we have like space alien, demon, modern art, that stuff, whatever they just released where Madonna was trying to
Listen,
dress her puffy face up like that statue with the
yeah.
horns coming off of it or whatever.
Listen, if Hunter Biden's freaking painting's worth $500,000 and all that stuff, the
Yeah, you and I deserve,
Sistine
like-
Chapel and stuff ain't worth shit.
Hey,
Nah. Paint that on a weekend. Me and you go out, smoke that right out. Edgar could do that, man. He'd freaking paint that right up.
yeah. Could you? Yeah, that's just we live in a clown world. That's all there is to it. And you just got to keep discerning and not get defeated, not slip up and say something's going to get you in trouble with somebody who's brainwashed that thinks that they're not under communist control right now.
Listen, perfectly normal Hunter selling paintings for $500,000, like totally normal. The Girl Scouts will probably get audited next week for selling those cookies down there at Shaw's, but
Exactly.
it's all good.
I'm going to get audited for buying supplies for my brother's house and him paying me back through Venmo, even though I asked him not to.
Yeah,
Like, seriously. Like, because, it was over the threshold. It was,
yeah. Or my wife's tax return getting held up for 60 days because they need to look into it. Huh. You don't need to look into...
So they have time to look into hers, but yet they got 22 states that they're saying hold off until they figure out what to do.
Have you noticed now even the IRS is just getting to the point where it's like, yeah, we're not going to give you any refunds, apparently. We're just not giving you money. Like, it's not coming back, guys.
Is that what they said?
Looks it, doesn't it?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not getting a refund. I'm slow rolling my taxes. I might file for an extension. I have a hard time giving my money to the federal government.
Why?
Right now.
Ukraine needs it.
I know, but so do homeless veterans. So do homeless U.S. citizens. So do
Well, what do they have
our
done for
roads,
you?
our internet, our infrastructure, the real infrastructure.
What have those soldiers ever done for you, really?
Granted, even though our local roads aren't really going to get paid for, but our highways. There's some crappy highways out there.
You know, you flip this 10 years from now and the United States needs something, Ukraine's doing good. Think we'll get any money from them? Hell no.
No, this is all a scam. We have been the world's bank for decades now.
Yeah, we are the laughingstock of the world.
Yeah,
This is why.
We just throw money at them. We go, well, we're not really we're the laughing stock, but we're not, because we're also
They fear
we're
our people.
all
They don't
over
fear
the
our government
country.
anymore.
They're our country's all over the world.
This is why they want your guns.
Why is that?
Well, because
They don't want us to.
they're robbing you every day, and eventually people are going to catch on and wait a minute. But with those guns, it'll be hard to put you in freaking cattle fences and
Well, it takes the majority of the country to say enough is enough, right?
right.
And you're supposed to be able to do that through voting. The problem is, up until a few years ago, everybody agreed that there was issues with the voting, but since Biden won this time, you're not allowed to, it's a sacred cow. You're not allowed to talk about it. There's no way that Trump would win.
You're a domestic terrorist if you talk about that. I think I can talk about anything. That's kind of like protected under the free speech in the First
You can talk about everything other than violence.
Right. But
And even then, you can talk about violence, not committing violence or encouraging others.
right. Your freedom, you're just selfish. You should just give up your freedom.
Well, I probably need to give more money to people randomly, even though I don't really have as much as I'd like to have for myself.
You start here, buddy.
Oh man, you're white,
Oh, I'm sorry.
you're male, you're heterosexual, you're married, so you might as well be wearing the devil horns. Like, I don't know why Sam Smith was pretending, because you apparently and me are the devil.
I have half Mexican stepkids.
Well, that just makes you more racist by throwing it out there like that.
That's true.
That's what they like. No matter what you say, that's why it's like, whatever. Like, you don't know me. You may think you know me based on some of the things that I've said, but at the end of the day, I just want everybody to be left alone with, like, I don't want any wars. Like, I get that sometimes people encroach and, you got to, like,
it's kind of like this workforce housing thing, okay? Newport's getting some more of it, which I'm all for, like, the concept of it, but you wouldn't need the concept if it wasn't for the government screwing you so hard. So single people with kids can't afford to have apartments because they're so expensive, right? So they just can't make enough money unless you're like a doctor or whatever, right? So what we do is we put you in subsidized housing that you pay based on your income so that you can have a place. Well, we wouldn't have to do that if the government wasn't 34 trillion in debt and kept stealing from you constantly.
Right.
You could actually help yourself.
Yeah.
No,
Can you
I get it.
imagine having 20
Like,
to 30% of your
I guess I'm starting
Payback?
to see, this is another thing. I'm having a revolutionary right here on the show. I just totally, I'm always going off to like welfare people and stuff because they don't work and they're lazy or whatever. It's like, but maybe they're freaking smarter than me. Why should they work? They're going to get robbed out of the money they worked hard for, and then they're going to give it to someone else that doesn't need it. or deserve it, and so maybe the other smart ones. So kids, hey, why go out and work hard when at the end of the day it's going to be robbed anyways? They give it to Ukraine. They need money.
Pakistan.
Pakistan needs money. They need to know how big of a rock to kill the homosexuals versus not sure yet. It's 200,000 of that. Buy a lot of rocks.
It's more than that. It's like 20 million this year, isn't it?
Really? Huh. Interesting.
A lot of money going to Pakistan to study that. They should send money to study the rape gangs that are going on in Britain.
Or sex trafficking in the United States.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just.
Yeah, no.
If you're so intent on going into a foreign country,
Yeah.
how about finding out why so many Britons are being raped by immigrants allegedly that you're not allowed to talk about in Britain?
Why don't we go help out all those poor black kids in Africa that you're making mine cobalt so you can have your electric vehicles
Yeah.
and your $1,000 iPhones, which I do have one, but that bad boy's old now.
I mean, it's just a sad state of affairs. I mean, we're being facetious and sarcastic and everything
Because
else.
the reality is, at the end of the day, none of these people give a shit about anybody but themselves.
Yeah, they're just getting money back to
Right.
themselves in some form or fashion.
Because if me and you were in charge of the money, it would actually go to people that needed it. Like little black kids wouldn't be going down in mines, getting cobalt out so you can have an electric car. That wouldn't be happening. They would be going to school and they'd be learning like the rest of the world should be. And then other places you would do things. And if you really wanted to help the environment, you could do that. And you would actually help the environment, not create fake shit so that you can fill your pockets. Like tax credits. Yes, you're going to have carbon tax credits. So if you don't use them, you can buy them from someone else.
There's a Harvard professor, I think, that put an article out on that like 4 or 5 years ago, totally debunking the whole carbon tax thing as a scam
It is.
by Al Gore to steal your money with all the other governments around the world. It's just a stealing of money under the guise of being a tax credit for BS. And this was a Harvard guy, so like they said, you censored Harvard and Stanford trained doctors. You can censor a Harvard. I mean, they do some rigorous work there, so I give them a little bit of authority.
Where is Mr. I invented the internet, Al Gore? Has he been to East Palestine yet?
Probably not.
Huh.
Probably sitting in his gigantic mansion with his 6 air conditioning units. I don't know how many he has, but he probably takes quite a lot more.
Tomorrow we should play a clip of Bill Gates being asked about his carbon footprint. And basically he says that, he's too fancy and rich to care, but he spends billions to fix things. So, and his is just minute. It doesn't matter. Mine and your carbon footprint matters huge. Huge. His doesn't.
Because he's trying to help.
Yeah. So his carbon comes out like fairy dust, sprinkling all over the world. Ours comes out as bad
pollutant.
stuff.
It's like smells like the worst
Yeah.
gas created on Earth.
Yeah. Good times. All right. Now let's wrap the show up. We lost everyone a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
I have to go through and make highlights. Yeah.
You should do a 30-second clip about the fairy dust.
We can do that. So tomorrow I have Therese coming in from The Resolve and We the People New Hampshire to talk about more New Hampshire than anything. She has a lot of insight, and she's on the governor's enemy list.
Well, let's get her in here then. Let's make sure that we get on that list.
We're probably on the federal one.
I don't want to be on any list other than...
We're on a list. We are on a list. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And, we'll see you tomorrow on the Tim and Steve Show.
Artlist.io